Welcome to the Total Boss Podcast, and I'm your host, Christiano Green, a podcast where we talk about finding fulfillment through self-development, being a leader of your own life, and getting the most out of it as well. Tenacity, originality, talent, authenticity, and being legendary. It's all about living your best life. Hello, all you total bosses out there, and welcome to another episode of the Total Boss Podcast. I'm your host, Christiano Green, and I'm a mindset and relationship coach for both women and gay men. And I help them to really rediscover who they truly are, what they truly want, and help them get exactly that. Now, this week on the podcast, I really wanted to jump in and, share my story of coaching. How I got to be where I am today, how it's evolved, because I really feel it's important just to share that with you, because I love to talk about why I do what I do, because it's a real huge passion of mine. I've given my whole life towards it, and I wouldn't be here if there was certain things that happened to get me here today. So as I said to you guys, I am a mindset and relationship coach for both women and gay men. But that's kind of not really where I started. How did I start kind of getting into the coaching world? So, when I was working in the corporate world, I was running big teams of people. So the largest teams that I run was like 300 people, right? I've had some small teams of like, say, 5 to 10 people, all the way up to 50, 100, 150, 200, and of course 300 people. Now, of course, when you're running larger teams, you have to coach people, you have to guide people, you have to mentor people, right? And so that was really where I kind of started to hone my skills as a coach, right? I had to help people through stuff that was going on that was outside of work, so that they could become better at their job. So coaching them on their problems with their relationships, coaching them on problems with their family stuff, with their, with their health stuff, I was helping them to become better in their life so they could ultimately do their job better, right? I always had the mindset of like, if I help the person, then they'll be able to, overcome what they need to overcome, instead of going, oh, how do I get them to do their job, right? I always look at things a little bit bigger than that. Like, it's not just this person's not doing their job for whatever reason. It's there's a deeper root cause problem that's stopping them to really to be able to do that there. And I was like, let's help people. But of course, growing up as a gay man, for myself, struggling with, growing up in a world that just, didn't accept me, especially at those times. Of course, it's getting better now, but it's nowhere near where it should be. But back then it was even harder for me. I grew up in a place where there was no other openly gay people. I would see people getting bashed and bullied, and I also got severely bullied myself, for being gay, even though I had no idea what it was at that point. And so, all I got was the messages was that being gay was bad, being gay was evil, being gay causes problems. Life was going to be harder for me. And, I went through some really dark times. I dealt with depression. I dealt with anxiety. I dealt with addictions. I've dealt with, even suicidal thoughts, right? Very lonely kind of experience at certain points, because it's an isolated experience. It's an internalized experience. And because of that and the journey that I had, and how difficult it was, and I overcame that. We'll talk a bit about what I did to overcome that myself shortly. I realized that, early on, I wanted to help other gay men who went through this experience, because I knew from all of the different people that I met, all of the friends that I made on the party scene, because that's kind of where I grew up as a gay man, right? That so many people had gone through what I've been through, or sometimes even worse. Sometimes people had gone through sexual traumas. Sometimes people had gone through, family kicking them out of their house and being homeless, and dealing with a lot of other things like that. Of course, even things like other minority stress, that comes along with it. So when I would hear these things, my heart would break, and I'd feel a lot of empathy for these other gay men. So that was kind of then when I knew that I wanted to do something to support gay men. Now, back then, I just wasn't in a place to be able to do that. This is back 15 years ago when I first kind of started coming out. I was dealing with my own shit, wasn't in a place to really support other people in the way that I am today. And I had my own journey to go through of healing and transformation to do that. But I kind of knew that in the back of my mind that I really wanted to help other gay men. So I kind of did, over the years, kind of work on myself slowly, doing that. And I eventually jumped in and did a course I did my counseling degree, basically, because I thought that was the path that I was going to take to become a counselor. Well, I did the course, I went through, I got my degree, got all the skill set, and I kind of realized at the end of it that like this is very restrictive. This is not really defined and supported, in a way that's going to help people in the way that I've always envisioned doing it. So I utilized the skills, and of course, while at the same time I was in the corporate world, I started to realize that I could put these counseling skills that I had learned and kind of mold them into something that I was doing. And so while I was coaching people in the corporate world, I was utilizing the skills that I got from my counseling degree in that as well. So it's kind of good like that. But again, still dealing with some of my own stuff, still didn't believe in myself enough to kind of start my own thing. Kind of was like, who would want my help? There was a lot of self-worth issues that I had to go through. So a couple of years back, maybe, well, 3.5 years now, I think, early times when COVID started happening, that's kind of when I hit my rock bottom moment. I was isolated at home. I'd been struggling, overworked, and just like really down. And I was drinking heavily a lot, like pretty much to the point where like, Friday would come at 4 o'clock and I would drink all the way through till, early hours of Monday morning before I had to go to work. And sometimes then, I'd be starting Monday and I'd be even having a drink while I'm working. And then every evening at work, after work, I would drink to handle the stress. And so I was at that point where I was just like, you know what, like something needs to change. I'm not fulfilled. This has been a cycle of pattern. I've tried to mask, I've tried to do things towards it. But the real thing that I need to work on is like, what is causing me to feel this way? So what did I do at that point? I decided that I really needed to get some help. And because, we were in the middle of COVID, I was at home, there wasn't much else to do. So I decided to sign up and do all these online courses and programs that I've been wanting to do for so long. And most of these programs beforehand were only available to do in person. So I signed up to all of Tony Robbins stuff. I signed up to Brendon Burchard's stuff. I signed up to, John DeMartini, Grant Cardone. I did all these courses and they were a mixture of, life, relationships, finances, and health, and then of course business and career. And so I learned all these different things and got myself to a place where like I was like I'd clean myself up, right? I was clean and sober. I'd gotten my health into a better place. Mentally, I was in a really good place with my mindset. I was dealing with emotions. I'd gone and hired one-on-one coaches and joined other programs and did NLP courses, neuro-linguistics programming, which I'm now a master in as well. So when I was doing those things, I started going through these different techniques, started actually getting the results for myself and realized that, oh my God, I've healed myself by doing these things and getting support here. How can I then utilize that and put all of these different things that I've learned together to support gay men? And that's kind of when I started my coaching business. And I started by just coaching gay men. And I really wanted to help gay men to kind of, step into their uniqueness, kind of step into doing something that was maybe a dream for a long time that they'd been holding on to and that they struggled with, right? That was kind of me, where I was at. Like, I wanted to become a coach. I wanted to support gay men, have my own business for well over a decade, but I was too afraid. I didn't believe in myself enough. I struggled internally with the fact that, would anyone actually want to hire me as a coach? Would anyone want to listen to what I have to say? And the great thing about the journey that I've been on is I realized that, of course, all those things weren't true. And the truth is that, there are a lot of people who really did need help. There were a lot of people that were looking for someone who was in our community that was going to stand up and do these kinds of things. Because if we look in our community, there aren't a huge amount of people who are doing what I'm doing and supporting that. I really wish there was a lot more, and there was people who are, further ahead than me, because I could go up and ask them for support, right? But there isn't a real kind of, say, person within the LGBTQIA plus community who's a coach, who's in person development, that's just kind of soaring, that is a leader there. So, when you're in those areas, sometimes you have to, walk the path you're on. You have to pave the way for other people to come forth as well. And, it's a tough journey at some points, but, it's a journey that I'm okay to be on. But getting out of the sidetrack, that was kind of where I started. I started helping gay men there. And then over time, as I started to get clients and work with them, I started to realize that, the real problem that gay men were having was mindset stuff. It was all down to how they saw themselves, how they saw the people around them and the world around them, and how they were interacting with that. And so I decided to evolve myself into becoming a mindset coach, because I knew that I'd worked so hard on my mindset and I was rock solid in my mindset at that point that, how can I help other gay men to improve their mindset? Because then if they improve their mindset, they're going to get the results that they want. So I moved into mindset work, and I really started to love all of that stuff. I was running events, every month. I was having, groups of gay men coming, joining me, really getting them results. And the fantastic thing is that some of them are still working with me today from those early days, which is fantastic, because they see the power of doing the mindset work to continue the growth. Because, in life, we all know that if you reach a bit of success, there's another level to get to. And when you get to here, and you've dealt with all the struggles that got you here, you know that to get to here, there's going to be some more struggles. So each level comes with a new devil, is what we call it, the devil in every level. And so you have to work on the mindset everywhere. So I continue to get support, I continue to get help, and I work on my mindset on a continual basis, because I know it's important, if I'm going to continue to grow, that I need to do that as well. So I would support people doing that as well. And I love that, and I still do that, right? That's why, like I said, I'm a mindset and relationship coach. And so I was doing that for, well over a year and a half. And, and then during that time, I moved away from Sydney. I'd moved to Bali. I'd done, I continued to work on my own life, because, I thought I really wanted a happy, peaceful life. So I moved to Bali, and that's when I kind of met my partner, and I fell in love. And this was the first real relationship that I'd had. And as a gay man, I'd been wanting a relationship for so long, but I'd struggled with it, because I was struggling with myself internally. So I was either attracting men that were on that same page, or I was obsessing over other men that were just unobtainable, that would never be, wanting me for where I was at, because we wouldn't have been a match, right? I was self-deprecating. I wasn't taking care of my body. I wasn't taking care of my mind or my heart. And so I was obsessing over guys who I felt like had all the things that I wanted. So I was kind of obsessing over the things that I wanted, but putting them into a form of a person, if that makes sense as well. So realizing that, there was these people that were matched to me for where I was at, but I just wasn't interested in them, because that's not who I was seeing myself as or wanting to be at, or obsessing over guys that were unobtainable for me at that point. So I had to do the work to get to that place, which is why when I got here and got back into the dating world, I met my partner, and I'm now in like a loving, fulfilling relationship, which I've been in for the last 2 years. Now, after, a few months of doing that, I realized that a lot of the people that I was talking to as well during that time frame, were talking to me about relationship stuff. But like, I can see you're in a relationship. What happened here? I've been wanting this and wanting that. So I was getting a lot of people coming to me who were lonely, who were in a place where I used to be, and were looking for a long-term loving relationship, but just didn't know how to go about it. And so that's when I stepped into working on relationship coaching as well, because I knew that at that point that was going to be an area that was going to be super important for me to get into, because so many gay men were looking for that. And when I look at the statistics, 70% of gay men suffer from loneliness, right? Over 60% of gay men, are single and struggle with relationships, and maybe they've gone into short-term relationships, but they've never continued, or they've never been in a relationship long-term ever before, or they've been in it before and it's toxic and it doesn't last, or they're those lucky few that have found the right person and are in the right place and have done the work on themselves to get to that place, which is great and fantastic, which is why I want to help, reduce those numbers so that we don't have such crazy mental health numbers in our community as well. So I moved into, like I said, so I was, like I said, helping people with self, uniqueness, stepped into mindset, stepped into relationship stuff. And that's what I've been doing ever since then. But earlier this year, like I said, I've been working with gay men for about 3 years at that point. And it'd been great, it'd been fantastic. But of course it came with some challenges, right? Because every time, I would be, connecting with people, I would get a lot of people who are just sending me dirty pictures, sending me dirty comments. I would get a lot of people who were really like maybe dealing with a lot of depression, anxiety and stuff. And to try to help people to get out of that level, it was a real struggle. And it was sometimes taking a little bit of a toll on me. So I kind of took a step back for a little while and said, you know what? I need to shift things up. I need to start, shifting and coaching women again. Because when I was in the corporate world, probably 80% of the people I coached were actually women. And I always had a fantastic relationship with women. I still do. I connect with them really well, because I can be honest with them. We can connect on an emotional level, and they kind of take on the advice really quickly. It's there's an unwritten trust between women and gay men. And that's what I kind of felt. So I kind of decided to take a break from the gay men. I was continuing to coach the people that were there with me, but I said, you know what, for the moment, let's bring in a different energy so that I can just kind of reignite my spark, because I was feeling a bit of burnout from overworking, from getting so much coming in, and just, a lot of the stuff that I was getting was quite deep and heavy. And I was like, let's see if I can change this and maybe get something that's a little bit more light. Still helping people with mindset and relationship stuff. So I started to do that, and I've been doing that for 6-7 months now. So I did that, and I focused solely on that. And then over the past, say, 1 or 2 months, I said, you know what? Let's just incorporate both of them, because I know there are still gay men who are reaching out to me, and there are still women who want my support. So now, like I said, I coach women and gay men. And like I said, it's in mindset and relationship stuff. And it's all around people in their life, their relationships, and their career and business. So the main things that people come to me for, right? People have struggled with, traumas of the past, dealing with rejection, dealing with self-doubt, dealing with, judgments from other people, dealing with the low self-worth, right? And of course, in that same time frame, I'm now creating online programs. The first one I created was, the Gay Men's Guide to Love and Happiness, because I really wanted to incorporate all the stuff that I'd done and put it into a program that was there for gay men, right? It's a fantastic program, and it's been getting some great results, and I love it. And like the guys that are in it are really enjoying it. So I decided now that I'd love to create online courses, online programs. That's kind of where I'm going to focus on that, and still work on, my one-on-one and my group coaching programs as well. But the next course I'm focused on is a fantastic one that I'm excited because I'm going to be launching it this coming week. So maybe when you hear this, it's actually going to be already launched, and it's called the 7-Day Love Reboot online course. And it's a program for both women and for gay men. It's how to help them to get over their obsessions to, say, maybe their ex, maybe it's to straight men, maybe it's to someone who just is not that into you, right? Maybe it's to someone that you're seeing and obsessing over on OnlyFans or social media, because I know that was what I used to do as well. So if you're having, obsessions and you're struggling to move on, and actually, because a lot of the time when we have these obsessions, it actually holds us back from actually finding the right connection and actually finding love. So if you're someone who's looking for love and you struggle with it because maybe you're obsessing over the wrong kind of person, then this is going to be the online course for you. So, I'll share that stuff in the link below if you're really interested in that. But that's kind of where I'm at right now. So as I said, my coaching has evolved over the last few months. I'm loving the journey that I'm on. I'm excited to keep bringing that stuff out there. I've got so many cool things that are coming out. I'm going to continue to work on lots of little courses that I find are really important, because I think that it's a great way for people to take a small course and then maybe decide that they need something more after that, because that's what many of the gay men that did the online course there, the Gay Men's Guide to Love and Happiness, they've realized that, wow, like I understand how I can obtain self-love and happiness, but I need to do some stuff on my mindset. I need to do some stuff to find love, because that's really what I ultimately want. So that's kind of where it's going to be. I'm going to create courses and allow people to see that and then decide what their next step is as well. So that's kind of where I'm at. Like I said, I'm super happy. I'm super passionate. I feel like I'm completely in the right path here. And I'd really love to hear from you. Like, what path are you on? Are you someone who's also a coach doing the same kind of thing? What are you doing? Share in the comments below or message me on Facebook. What kind of work are you doing? What are you passionate about? What is your journey to getting there? Or are you like me, maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago? You have a goal, you have a dream, you have a vision of what you want to do in your life, but you're afraid to go after it because of the fears of rejection, the fears of self-doubt, the fears of judgments of other people, and the fears of it failing and not working out, and what that means to you as a person. Because of course, we all decide what meaning we give to everything that we do, and oftentimes those meanings are the things that hold us back. Because if I fail here, it means that I'm not good enough, that I'm not worthy. When in fact, when we start something new, we're never going to be an expert. We're always a beginner. So if we always come from a beginner's mindset, we're always going to be able to achieve what we need to achieve. So let's talk about that. Let's have an open conversation about what is the thing that you want to step into in your career, in your life, in your relationship, that's been, something that maybe you're afraid to voice out there. Because I want to hear from you, and I want to support you on that journey. So comment me below, reach out to me on social media. Of course, if you've got any questions around what I do, how I support people, the qualifications that I've got, all of that stuff, then share that with me, because I'd love to support you as well. And as always, I'm going to be back next week with another episode. And again, I'm going to share the details for the 7-Day Love Reboot and how you can get over your obsessions for that online program in the comments below. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you've got this and I've got you. I'll see you next week.